To the C-Noll MMA YouTube channel, and in today's video I will be making my picks and predictions for this weekend's UFC Fight Night taking place at the Apex, the Meta Apex. You casuals just don't understand how good the Apex is, man. It's so much better than a crowded arena that no matter who's fighting, if it's a decent fight, you hear the oohs and the ahs and the energy of the crowd. That sucks. We like the Apex in this apartment. I don't live in a house. Nah, the Apex sucks and I'm sick of it, and we gotta get back to traveling the U.S. bare minimum. Let's hit up D-Town, Dallas. Let's go back to Austin. Let's go to H-Town, Houston. Well, I guess they're coming there soon. Let's hit the Midwest a little bit. Midwesterners love the UFC. Let's hit some of the Florida cities. Let's hit Phoenix. I don't get why they don't travel more, man. It's the same places over and over again ever since COVID. Since 2020, it annoys me. I hate it, but nonetheless, this is where we're at, and this is what we got to deal with this stupid UFC. Decisions. I love the UFC. Stupid UFC decisions. But today's format's going to be a little different. We're going to start out with the main event, going down to the bottom of the card, spending more time on the main event and the subsequent fights after that, and speeding it up as we get down to the prelims. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer this version for these smaller fight night cards, especially most of the Apex cards. For the numbered events, we're going to stick to bottom to the top just because, man, we got to get excited about a numbered event, man. You got to. But let's go ahead and get right into Mario Bautista and Vinicius Oliveira. And I'm taking Mario Bautista. I'm going to take him by 4th round TKO. Vinicius Lock Dog Oliveira, very exciting, powerful, explosive, fights with his hands down, just walks down his opponents. Coming off a win against Kyler Phillips, where Kyler Phillips, low-key dropped him in the first round and was putting it on him until the second round where Oliveira hurt him. And then after that, Phillips was kind of just a walking corpse. He just kept backing up and really had nothing to offer Oliveira. And the way Oliveira fights with his hands down the entire fight, for being a classic marauder that Oliveira is, I don't think he's good enough to get to the top with that style. He's not super accurate. He's very powerful, explosive, and athletic, but he's not super powerful. He doesn't have great cardio. His grappling's pretty subpar unless his opponent is super gassed. We've seen Ricky Simone take advantage of that in places. And I think Mario Bautista, even before the Umar fight, his best win is probably Ricky Simone after seeing how Patchy Mix looked after that loss to Bautista. So that Patchy Mix win wasn't even that great of a win. But even though it was a loss to Umar Nurmagomedov, Mario dropped him, I believe, in the second round, gave him probably his toughest fight to date, barring the Marab loss, and looked really good and competitive against the second, third, or fourth top 4 bantamweight in the world, and bantamweight's arguably the most stacked division currently in the UFC. And Mario looked very good in that loss. This is going to be in a 5-round setting. Oliveira's cardio, you cannot trust whatsoever. It's not that good in a 3-round setting necessarily. He loses power as the fight goes on. He's inaccurate. Mario, super well-rounded, technical, and very sharp on the feet with his boxing. He doesn't have the best head movement necessarily, but he keeps his hands up well, avoids big shots well. And even if Vinicius early is marching him down and Mario's put on the back foot, he's not just going to back straight up. That's not the type of guy he is. He's high IQ in the cage. He's going to change his movement, change his footwork up. He can be a little plotty sometimes, but with a combination of his grappling skills, which he's a pretty solid grappler, he's not afraid to make the fight boring, as we've seen against Jose Aldo. If he has to, he'll put Oliveira up against the cage and hold him there. And if he loses, say, the first 3 rounds, if he loses 2 or 3 of those, he's going to win those last 2, no matter how boring he has to make it. He will wrestle, shoot, maybe not even get the takedowns and hold Oliveira in place. And even with those boring situations, and the combination of Oliveira's cardio probably going to deteriorate very fast as the fight goes on, and that power loses steam each and every minute going throughout the fight, I hate this matchup for Oliveira. I I like him because he's exciting, explosive, unorthodox. He has that potential to be like a name in the bantamweight division, but I don't think he has that super swag skill, kind of like a Rufy, because Rufy, he's good at backing up, moving his head, defensively responsible, solid footwork. Oliveira, not so much. He's more sloppy, not as accurate, power dwindles as the fight goes on. And I think in those areas where Oliveira swings wild stuff, overswings a ton, misses shots, head kick right over his opponent's head, I think Mario's going to stay tight in the pocket, and on those entrances, he will counter those very well with his boxing. Oliveira, a lot in these matchups in the bantamweight division, has a significant physical advantage, and he overall probably will come in the more dense guy. Bautista at 135 is still a physically dominant type of guy at that weight class. He's dense as well, same height, even though I bet Oliveira is probably a little bit taller. I just think this is a bad matchup from Oliveira overall. I think Bautista's highly skilled, and I think he's going to finish him late in the 4th or 5th round. Bare minimum, get this done by decision. I don't, like, Oliveira, his best chance is winning that first 2 rounds, and I think Bautista knows that. He prepares well, always comes into a fight, like, looking like a guy who studies tape, knows his opponent, has a game plan, can adjust pretty well on the fly. I trust Bautista in this fight very much clearly over Oliveira. Oliveira, of course, has that puncher's chance, has crazy power for the weight class, but I don't see him getting it done, and I don't see him getting to the upper echelon of bantamweights. I think he'll be kind of stuck in that 15-10 range area just with the skill set that he has if he doesn't decide to change anything. So I'm going Mario Bautista here. Late 4th round finish, bare minimum decision. But I do think it could be interesting in those first 2 rounds. And I'm very interested to see if Oliveira makes any adjustments with this being a 5th round fight. And even if that gets into his head a little bit and he doesn't unload at all or let his hands go whatsoever in this fight, I think it's an interesting matchup. I think it's a good fight overall. I'm excited to watch it, but I think Bautista's the easy pick here. And it's a safe pick, but matchup-wise, I don't think Oliveira has anything to offer except a flurry of a combination that knocks out Bautista, and I trust Bautista not to be that guy. And he's super tough and gritty, durable. I think he's been only finished once in the UFC, so Mario Bautista, late round finish win. Moving on to the co-main event, Kyoji Horiguchi and Amir Albazi. Again, I think this is easy, Kyoji Horiguchi. Albazi, since that long layoff, to be fair, he had heart surgery. But before that, his win streak wasn't impressive. I don't think any of those guys are still in the UFC. Beats Kai Kara France by split decision, which really, in all honesty, should have gone to KKF. And Kai Kara France, honestly, is he's not that great of a fighter either. Albazi, he has strong pressure, decent takedowns and grappling, pretty mid on the feet. Horiguchi, super quick, a very good grappler, good in scrambles, good in transition. On the feet, too, he's developed, I think, better than he was in his previous UFC run at his older age. He's more of a striker, picks his shots. He doesn't have that much finishing power necessarily on the feet. However, I think with his quickness and stuff, I think he's going to tag Albazi up. I like his aggressiveness he showed against Ulanbekov. I like him what I'm seeing from Horiguchi here a lot. And I think on the ground, he'll be able to neutralize Albazi quite well, especially Albazi doesn't have that skill necessarily takedowns, double legs, single legs. He's pretty basic in that way. I think Horiguchi will be able to defend those quite a bit, scramble out of them, transition, get back up to the feet, or even end up on top a lot. I like the Horiguchi submission here. I like a late 3rd round submission from Horiguchi. He keeps the pace pretty high with his movement. He's able to sustain it quite well. Albazi kind of wears down, as we've seen in that Moreno fight, where he just kind of got picked apart on the feet with a tentative Moreno. And I think Horiguchi will fight here more aggressively. I like Horiguchi in this spot a lot. Late round submission from Horiguchi against Amir Albazi. Moving down to a heavyweight slobber knocker. We got a Dagestani blob, Rizvan Kuniev and Jalitin Almeida. I think Kuniev's kind of a live dog here early 1st round, but I think his cardio is so poor. Jalitin's isn't that great either. However, I think, barring the 1st round, I think he'll be able to secure takedowns easy enough. And honestly, as Kuniev tires, that submission threat from Almeida is just going to continue to increase. I like Jailton Almeida by submission in the third round. That's kind of weird picking back-to-back subs in the third round, but that's just what I like. That's what I see. On the feet, Kuniev, I'd maybe give the edge, but Almeida is somewhat athletic. Even though you think he'd be more athletic with that build, he's kind of plotty. But against the old Blobberknocker and Kuniev, I think Almeida is just skill-wise is a better fighter. On the ground, I think he'll be able to dominate him, especially outside of that first round. I think this is a closer fight than a lot of people may think necessarily, but I think Jailton, as the fight goes on, the grappling will become easier and easier. I think he can get on top of Kuniev and hopefully be more aggressive, because that Volkov performance was pitiful. I'm glad they gave it to Volkov, but I think he can beat Rizvan. I don't think he's that high level. I know he kept it close with Curtis Blades, but Curtis Blades is one of those guys, I feel like he kind of fights down to competition a lot. And he's kind of gotten older, and like he probably never getting a title shot. Motivation could be lacking in that fight as well, having to take on a UFC newcomer in Kuniev when you're like top 6 in the heavyweight division. I like Jailton Almeida, late round submission. Moving down the card to Mikhail Olasejczak, Polish fighting nerd, taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Taking Mikhail Olasejczak. This is a fight Mikhail should win, and those fights that he should win, he usually pulls off. Marc-Andre Barriault, a low-level marauder. Doesn't do much with grappling, submission, getting on top, pressure, anything like that. I think he'll fight with Mikhail, and I think on the feet, boxing-wise, Mikhail has so much more to offer. Better, slicker, tighter combinations. Decent power as well. Marc-Andre's very tough, though. Coming off that loss to Shara Bullet by decision. I'm going to take Mikhail by a easy decision win here, 30-27. I think he's just going to pick him apart on the feet. I think he'll hold his cardio a lot better than Marc-Andre as well. I could see this kind of being like a schooling 3-round, just Mikhail just piecing up, working the jab, working the body with the combinations, mixing in a little low leg kick here and there. Marc-Andre's just a little too slow for Mikhail. I think he's kind of athletic and quick at the middleweight division, especially fighting outside like the top 25 guys of the middleweight division. He's a solid fighter, solid fundamental guy on the feet. Marc-Andre, I just don't think he has much to offer at all, really. If he wasn't Canadian and in these higher weight classes, I think he'd be cut from the UFC at this point. I think he's like 6-9 in the UFC. I think he's pretty below average MMA fighter. I think Mikhail's above average for sure. And on the feet, Marc-Andre, he maybe could decide to work the grappling. Mikhail struggled with grapplers a little bit over his career. But I don't think Power Bar really shows any threats to Mikhail here. He's constantly improving as well, working with the fighting nerds. I'd imagine his grappling's got better. He should be able to neutralize that if even Marc-Andre decides to utilize that, which I don't think he will. He's pretty stubborn, stuck in his old ways. Like, once he starts getting boxed up with Mikhail, I think he'll just try to throw back and get countered even worse. So Mikhail Olasejczak, decisive decision, easy 30-27. That's what I'm going with in this middleweight fight. Moving down the card to Farid Basharat, the better Basharat bro, in my opinion. I don't like either of them. I think they're boring and kind of annoying fighters to watch. Taking on Gene Matsumoto, who's kind of like he's a marauder in the bantamweight division. Went to a split decision with Rob Font, but that's kind of a favorable matchup for him. Throws wild stuff. Not the best cardio, though. I think Farid wins this, easy decision. He's going to work his takedowns, be rangy with the striking. And Gene, I think he'll probably stick to his typical wild man style. I think it'll be easy for Farid to get those level changes, get it to the ground, and work control time. I could see this being a very boring fight as well, but I think this is an easy Farid Basharat pick. I'm not going to say much about this because, honestly, I think it's going to be boring, typical. Farid's a pretty solid grappler. He's going to take down the more wild, entertaining guy in Matsumoto and kind of just grind on him there. I'd love to see a Matsumoto KO, though, but I don't think it's happening here. Moving down the card to a lightweight scrap between Dustin Jacoby and Julius Walker. Julius Walker doesn't impress me at all. I think he's pretty low level. Beat Rafael Caquera, and then I believe he lost to someone pretty bad. Who was it he lost to? I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me look real quick. Alonzo Minifield by split decision. If you're losing to Alonzo Minifield by split decision, Dustin Jacoby is going to pick you apart on the feet, in my opinion. Solid fundamental kickboxer, decent power, not the best though, but I think this is another decision here on the card. Decision win for Jacoby. I just don't think Walker has any threats on the feet to really challenge Jacoby, and I haven't seen, great grappling to beat a vet like Dustin Jacoby. Like he's going to expect that coming. He's going to expect that. Pause. He's going to expect that from Julius Walker, trying to work the grappling, especially when I think Dustin comes out early and pieces up Walker on the feet. I'll take Dustin Jacoby by decision. Moving down the card, too, I'm very excited to watch Daniil Donchenko fight, taking on the old great white, the old veteran, Alex Morono. I think this is an easy Daniil Donchenko win. I think Morono could grind this up a little bit, throw some challenges toward Donchenko's way, kind of like how that Cam Rouston, Cody Brundage performance went last weekend. But I think Daniil's too dynamic on the feet, powerful, tenacious. And the old man Morono, he's decent fundamental guy, really, but he's so unathletic. No power whatsoever. Kind of is your typical cardio kickboxer. I don't know how he's lasted in the UFC this long. He has some decent wins, though, if you look at his record. But I'm going to take Daniil by finish in the second round. I think in the first round, Morono could make it a little bit ugly, but I think Daniil will find a quick, sharp strike that puts Morono on his back, and he'll get the finish. I like Daniil Donchenko a lot in this fight. I think this will be an easy name-building fight for Daniil Donchenko, the Ultimate Fighter winner. Moving down the card to Nikolai Vertenikov taking on Nico Price. How is he still in the UFC? He's just getting that paycheck for them 17 kids of his, or however many he has. Taking Vertenikov here. Decently well-rounded guy, decent grappling, okay striking, but powerful. Much more dynamic than Nico Price. Price has no power. Lately in his fights, just wilts very easily. Glass chin at this point in his career. I like I'm going to take a first-round KO from Vertenikov. He's pretty powerful, man. He's a scrapper. He goes in there and fights. I think he'll put pressure on Price. And Price I can't trust him to get out of the first round at this point against anybody. Vertenikov, even though his UFC record's not the best, he's not a bad fighter at all. I like his power, and Price is just a bad fighter. He kind of has stayed in the UFC because he's a tough guy, can throw up some crazy submissions kind of here and there, but I think Vertenikov easily knocks him out in the first round, just in a random exchange. Nico kind of folds to the back. It's not even like a starch KO, and then Vertenikov gets on top and grounds and pounds his way to an easy first round win. That's what I'm going with here. Y'all don't want me to pick this fight. I'm not gonna. Said Nurmagomedov taking on Javid Basharat. I'm going Said here. And it's the submission threat I like from Said here. I know a lot of people are going to probably pick Basharat because he'll kind of slow pace this fight out. But even though Said's cardio's pretty bad, I like him early in this fight, first or second round submission. I think Javid gets too complacent on the ground. And on the feet, too, I think Said has the advantage. He's more dynamic, more explosive, even though as the fight goes on, he drains pretty quickly. But I think he has enough skill here to get it done in the first or second round against Javid. He's not much of a threat to me at all, really anywhere in this fight. I like Said here. Early, take advantage of his more dynamic skill set. On the feet, submission. I'm going to take him on the feet, first round KO. I think Javid's kind of a sitting duck on the feet. He doesn't move around well, and he doesn't like pick his spots to shoot well compared to his brother Farid. So I like Said Nurmagomedov early KO in this fight. I think he's more dynamic on the feet, and Basharat's too plotty and a sitting duck for my liking. I'm not picking that fight either. Last fight I'm picking. We're picking the good fights only. Muin Garuov taking on Jacob Wicklacz. I'm taking Wicklacz by submission. He's a very slick grappler. Garuov, he's very plotty on the feet. I think Jacob will be able to get his takedowns in this fight. I like a first-round submission here. Garuov, he's kind of a kickboxer, grappler combo coming from that area of the world. I think he's kind of low level. I don't like what I've seen from him in the past. Who did he fight last? And I thought it was a pretty pitiful performance. Yeah, he fought Rinya Nakamura. I don't think he's good. Who did he lose to? Yeah, he lost to Said in the first round. I think it'll go pretty similar, but I like Jakob's tenaciousness, his pressure he puts on. He gets in your face, kind of sloppy on the feet, but he could tighten that up. He lands some awkward, kind of like Paddy Pimblett in a way. lands some awkward shots that kind of seem to wobble people. I like what I see from him. I like his pressure and cardio. I think he puts a pace on Garifov that he won't like at all early in that first round. I think he gets it to the ground and submits him early. I like Whitclatch a lot. I think he's a good prospect in the bantamweight division. All right, guys. I know this was a quick picks and prediction video today, but I'm thinking about doing this kind of format, kind of better for these UFC fight nights. Maybe we'll encourage more people to watch the video if they see it's not too long. Get some quick little insight of what I see in my opinions on said fights. But guys, let me know what y'all think about my picks and predictions in the comments below. Also, please like this video. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. I post quite a bit. This week's been a little slower. I've been really busy with school and work, but I graduate this summer, and this summer I plan on taking this channel to a whole new level. Put in a lot more effort because I'll have some more time on my hands to do so. But that's it for today's video, guys. Please like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And if you've watched all the way through, I love you and I appreciate you. And that's it for today, guys. I'm excited for this main event. I think it's really slept on. But hey, I'll see you on the next one. Christ is king.